Wait, I lost it.
Hi,
Wait.
welcome everybody to our applicant workshop. We're happy you're here. Just some housekeeping rules. You'll see on your right-hand screen a questions tab and a poll tab. Please feel free to post your questions in the questions tab, and we'll try to get to them throughout the presentation. Also, feel free to introduce yourself, and you will see one poll question later on. My name is Dora Angali. I'm the ACE Program Manager, and I'll give you a brief overview of what we'll be talking about today. So the purpose of this workshop is really to go over the proposal, exactly tell you how the instructions are laid out, what segments we require, what we're looking for in each section of the proposal. I'll also give you some general information about the process and the review. We'll get to your questions in the end, and we'll also give you some pointers on how you can connect with our Algorand community. Just as a side note, this deck and also recording of this workshop will be emailed to everyone who's registered, so you don't need to take notes. It'll all be in your inbox right after this call. First of all, a quick introduction. For those of you who already attended the webinar, you probably know us. Tal, Hugo, and I are behind the ACE program. If you have any questions or you want to reach out to us, please email us at ace@algorand.foundation. We're not going to do really formal introductions now, since I think we all know each other, but please go ahead in the chat and let us know where you're calling in from today. I want to give you a quick update about the interest in the ACE program. It's been really phenomenal, the response we've received. We received over 100 letters from really all over the world with over 400 participants in a total of 45 countries, and listing the distribution geographically below. So we've been really pleased with how many letters of intent we received with really great ideas with diverse teams. And yeah, we look forward to receiving your proposals. So let's dive right into some general remarks. So I first of all want to alert you to the resources section of our website. So if you go to the ACE program website and scroll down to the bottom right, you'll see many helpful resources. So not only the FAQ, but also instructions and templates for the proposal and also for the letter of transmittal and the budget. So please take a look at them. If anything isn't clear, you have questions, you can reach out to us. The FAQs are pretty comprehensive and we update them very frequently. So please go take a look at the FAQs first. And if your question isn't answered there, feel free to reach out to us. As you can see in the resources section, we also have the proposal instructions. Please read through them thoroughly. And as you can see in each section, there's a page limit. And I'll list that also in the deck later. And we kindly ask you to not exceed that page limit and stick to the limit, just because we have so many proposals coming in. That would be really helpful for us. This time again, proposals will be submitted through Submittable, the platform that we use, that was also used for the letter of intent submission. If for some reason you don't have a Submittable account yet, it's free. Please get one now and get familiar with it. But you may also use the account that was used for the letter of intent submission. And the proposal form itself is pretty long, so please take a look at it a little while before you plan to submit it. We ask for a lot of information separately. And just make sure you have all the information ready that we ask for. And I generously estimate it'll take you 20 minutes to complete. It'll probably take you a little less time, but I would still ask you or recommend that you take a look at it before, not in the last hour before the deadline when you plan to submit your proposal. The proposal submission also requires some attachments in different formats. So the proposal, please submit it as a PDF, the budget as an Excel, the letter of transmittal as a PDF. And then for those of you who are nonprofit organizations, we would like to have you upload also a proof of your nonprofit status. Some of you have already emailed that to me, but if it's possible, we'd like to ask you to upload that again so we have everything together along with your proposal. The deadline for submission is Friday, January 14th at 5 p.m. EST, and we only accept the proposals via Submittable. So there's also no need to email the team or me personally a copy of your proposal. You usually get a notification from Submittable after you submitted it. It's going to say like, Dear John, we've received your proposal. And then you will see that it was received, so there's no need to reconfirm. Yeah, and just as a side note, I'm sure you're all aware, so proposals can only be submitted from organizations that have submitted letters of intent previously. So please don't share the link with the proposal submission form with others. You can direct them to our grants program if you have interested colleagues or friends, but please do not share the proposal submission form. That's really just intended for proposals as part of the ACE program with a prerequisite of the letter of intent. Okay, proposal sections. I'm going to run through this briefly. So the executive summary is up to 2 pages, and I think it's very clear. We're just looking for a high-level summary of what you're trying to do, what your timeline is, the methods, and the expected benefits to the ecosystem. And the program description itself should really address all of the program objectives that are listed in our proposal. So please take a look at that. And so we're not just looking for research, but we're also looking for educational elements, and the student activities are also very important to us. So this is a very student-centric program. So we want to make sure we see a lot of student activities listed in the proposal, same for event planning and other initiatives. And in terms of physical space, this has been asked before during the applicant webinar. So physical space could have many forms. It could be, access to a lecture hall plus some shared office space. It could be, any sort of shared space. You don't need to rent a whole building or something like that. So it's fine to be creative with this. The core team, here we are looking for information on who your core team members are. And we define the core team members as the people who hold senior roles, so the PI, the co-PI, senior researchers, or other people whose contributions to the proposed project significantly shape the outcome. So you don't need to list every student or postdoc that you're hoping to have on the team, but anyone who is very crucial to the success of the program should be listed. And please provide some background information, so, URLs, GitHub links, LinkedIn blogs, whatever you think is suitable. And this information must not only be in the proposal itself, but it also will need to be entered in the proposal submission form. The collaboration plan, this is actually really important. So as you know, we look for collaborative proposals, and what we've seen in the letters is lots of you are planning to collaborate with other departments or universities in different geographies, and that's exactly what we're looking for. In the collaboration plan, we're looking for information on how this collaboration is essential to the program, but also how you're planning your day-to-day collaboration. So we just want to make sure that you have a clear plan on how you can really invest your energy in the success of your program and not waste time on planning and scheduling meetings and in the administrative bureaucracy. And this is very important to us. Diversity and inclusivity are very important to the ACE program. So in the collaboration plan, we'd also like to see how you will ensure that you have a diverse team, how your ACE will be accessible to people from different backgrounds and experiences, and how you foster and check that you have an inclusive work environment. And ideally, you would provide some specific examples on this. In terms of timeline, we're hoping you could really define clear milestones and have your progress criteria. And we would like to see a timeline for the entire funding period. So not just for the first year, but for the whole funding period you're applying for. And we also want you to identify clear evaluation criteria and metrics for success. So let's say if one of your milestones is to create an accessible speaker series with students from various backgrounds, we want to see how you measure that as a success. Again, this is important. So we have the budget overview, which is part of the proposal, and then we have the budget, which is a separate thing. So the budget overview is part of your proposal, and it's just a short overview that outlines how much funding you're looking for per year, what your funding total is, and that's pretty much it. The budget itself, the Excel file that you're going to upload separately, that'll go in the nitty-gritty where you have your funding per year in your different categories, so salaries, cost sharing, fringe benefits, and so on. Along with the budget, we also require the name and information of the person who created the budget, just in case we have follow-up questions. It may be easier to connect with this person and the PI. We also require the sponsored research office email address from your organization and a letter of transmittal from your organization's sponsored research office. So the letter of transmittal, and we have a template for this on the website, is just a basic letter where your sponsored research office addresses that they've reviewed the budget, that everything looks good, that they're aware of your grant application. So it's fairly standard, and you really can use the template that we have, and we just need that as proof that everything has been double checked. Budgets must be submitted in fiat, and the default payment currency is Algo token. But and some of you have reached out to me about this already. If you have concerns about your university not being able to receive Algo token, or you're not eligible to, you can also receive the funding in fiat. And please take a close look at the terms and conditions. They're linked in this deck, and they're linked on our website. If you have any follow-up questions about that, reach out to us individually. Reporting obligations is fairly standard. So this part of the proposal, we just ask you to acknowledge that you have to report to us. This is also outlined in the request for proposals. So we'd like some simple acknowledgement that you are aware that you need to submit an annual report that also includes financial reporting, and a mid-year, we call it like a milestone update. It's a short written update on what your ACE has been up to, and maybe like a short video. And last but not least, the comment section, really only use it if there's something you feel like you need to clarify, anything you want to give us some more background on, please use it. If everything is straightforward and there is nothing you want to add information on, that's totally fine. Feel free to not include it. Okay, next I'd like to talk a little bit about the review process. So the selection criteria are listed in our request for proposals, so feel free to take a look at that. And then our review committee consists of external reviewers and internal Algorand Foundation representatives. And we have a committee of reviewers that are from different fields. So since we have very multidisciplinary proposals, we'll have people from blockchain technology, computer science, cryptography, economics, you name it. We'll have people from all these expertises coming to us and helping us evaluate the proposals. Successful applicants will be notified in March, and the ACEs are then supposed to start in April. First, I'll address a few of the questions that many of you have sent to us at time of registration, and then I can see the questions tab right now, but then we can try to go through the ones that you're posting right now. So the first question, what happens after you submit your proposal? The first thing that should happen is that you receive a notification from Submittable that your proposal has been received. If that's not the case, then please double check you really submitted it, check your spam folder, but normally the person who submitted it should get this notification. Then we'll start our review process, and it may be the case that you hear from us during the review process because we have some questions or we want you to clarify something. So please don't be alarmed. We may reach out to you and your team to ask some follow-up questions. If you don't hear from us, it's also not a bad sign. But yeah, be aware that we may ping you and ask for a little more information if necessary. Second question, also been asked quite a bit. Can we add collaborators to the proposals that were not included in the LOI? Yes, that's possible. So feel free to add collaborators to the proposal that you didn't have already in the letter of intent. We know that the timeline was sort of short, and that some of you were still in conversations with potential partners or just getting into these conversations now. So it's totally fine to add collaborators to the proposal that were not included in the letter. Third question, do I have to have my complete team assembled by the time the ACEs start? So again, the ACEs are supposed to start in April. we do not expect you to have your complete team assembled by April 1. So we understand you need to hire postdocs, you need to hire staff. That's not always possible in a short timeline. So we want you to have a plan in place, obviously, on how this is going to happen, but you don't need to have everyone onboarded by April 1. 4, can the budget be in your local currency? Yes, so the budget can be in fiat. As I said earlier, the proposal submission form asks for the total amount in US dollars, but feel free to submit your budget in your local currency if you choose to. 5, a very important question, which costs do you require to be exempt from overhead? So generally, we favor overhead costs at 20% or less. And exempt from overhead is tuition, expenses for research experience for undergraduates, and then any type of participant support for workshop attendees or conference attendees. And this is also listed in our FAQs. If your university calculates overhead slightly different and you have questions about that, let me know. And also feel free to add something to your budget and explain how your local organization calculates overhead. But again, we strongly prefer 20% or less overhead. Question 6, what happens if we receive the funding from another source for the same purpose? So we define the purpose as, the purpose of the funding is the launch and operation of an Algorand Center of Excellence. If you do receive funding for the same purpose, we ask you to, let us know ahead of time. Same thing for cost sharing, and that is fine. Question 7, which institution receives the funds in a multi-institution proposal? That's also a question that's come up again and again. So even in multi-institution proposals, you'll still have a lead organization. That'll be the contractual partner for the Algorand Foundation. And they're the ones that receive the funds. So if you have 3 or 4 organizations with co-PIs across, we cannot pay the funds to all these organizations separately. We pay to the lead organization. And how do we define lead organization? Question 8. This is also in our FAQs. The lead organization is the one with the institution with which the PI is affiliated with. And in a case that there's multiple co-PIs, we still just have one lead organization. Again, that's a contractual partner for the foundation. And all the other collaborating institutions are sub-organizations to the lead organizations. And the lead organization is the one that also should take care of the reporting, who takes on a leadership role as part of the ACE proposal and direct and organizes all the activities in terms of the report. Question number 9, can the PI change? So the PI can change in special circumstances. The organization cannot. So if the PI leaves the organization can then appoint another PI, but the foundation needs to approve, and the organization itself cannot change. So that means you can take your ACE grant with you to another organization if you were to leave the organization. And then question 10, when do the ACEs need to start? So the official launch will be April, where we'll start sending out announcements. We'll send you more information on, the things you need to do. So we know you need some time to get set up, but that's when we do the announcement, and we will require the ACEs themselves also to do an announcement. So official kickoff will be in April. Okay, just real quick before I get to your questions now. So if you want to reach out to our community, please do so. I know some of you had questions about that. So we have our Algorand Foundation community that you can join. It's free. And we have a lot of developer resources online. You can join us on Discord, on Twitter, on Reddit. I mean, we're on all the social channels. So feel free to jump into conversations there, learn more about what's going on in the community. And last but not least, I'd like to get your attention to the Algorand Grants Program. Again, if you want to share it with your network, we have outside of the ACE program also our quote-unquote normal grants program, where we support research and education, community development, and more. So feel free to take a look at that as well. Okay.
Doro, just
yes.
One little comment, sorry, just on the grants program. Thanks for sharing the link. Just to caveat for the community, the team is actually working through all the submissions from 2021, and they will be doing so. There's a slight pause until grants reopen on the 12th of January 2022, and that's just to ensure that there's no backlog moving into next year, so that any grant applications in early 2022 will get a good level of service and response. You can still go check out, all the different informations, but you can work on your proposal and then submit on January 12th.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. Let me say a few of the questions that have been going through the questions. I can't type so fast. You guys are 80 on top of one of me, so I'm just trying to go as fast as I can. So you're asking, what ideas are we looking for? We're looking for interesting, exciting ideas. We will accept anything that looks amazing to us. That is one thing. What is the duration of the proposal? Do amounts have to be fixed per year and so on? You can fix if you want to do 3, 4, 5 years, and you can say on year 1, I need this much, on year 2, I need this much, and so on. We will talk a little bit, Doro, since I was typing, did you go over what the decision-making process would be of how we would do it, of how we're planning to do it?
Yeah, we have the review criteria in the request for proposals, and then we'll have each proposal will be reviewed by 3 separate reviewers.
And basically another question related to funding and the what is being proposed. We will fund anything that seems reasonable to us. So you can submit, somebody asked me, an award for a hackathon. Yes, you can put that in the proposal. We will look at everything and judge it, whether it makes sense. Maybe we reduce some costs and amend your budget later and negotiate. It's then up to you if you want to proceed or not. But this is also something that we will be examining closely and possibly coming back with requests for changes in the budget. How much should a sub get? A sub should get according to what they're doing and delivering work-wise, and we should think that it's appropriate what has been asked for the sub and so on. Dora, there are 2 technical questions about submittable. One is whether once you submit, if it's locked, or can you resubmit?
You can make edits to your submission. Yeah, that's no problem.
Okay, good. So we will not put that on the FAQ. On the FAQ, I said I don't know, and we will. So that was one question. And the second question, which was technical, somebody asked if they can upload the proposal if they are not the lead. So I wasn't sure if this was a technical question or not. Anybody can upload the thing, but if there's a budget included and so on, it needs to be clear that this budget was prepared by the budget department of the university. So maybe the same way that people submit here in the US NSF, that really the budget or the grant proposal team is who submits it. Maybe you should do the same proposal. Of course, it doesn't have to be the lead PI.
Just as a side note, whoever submits the proposal and creates the account, this is the person that will also get the auto notification of receipt. So if it's not the PI, him or herself, but it's the grants officer, they are the ones who will receive the receipt notification. They should forward it then to the PI just to make sure that they have it.
Okay, one more question about restrictions about, is there a limit on the budget of what you can submit? You need to submit a proposal that's exciting and does amazing things, and submit a budget that works for that proposal. We will consider these 2 things. You're not going to be getting 100 million, but even if you go over some limit, that would be okay if the proposal warrants the budget that you submitted. So you don't have to be counting dollars. If you are going over something that you think is some limit that we've set, then do it. The budget should match the proposal, and the proposal should be exciting.
Let me say one thing. I mean, you can go off. I mean, we put there in the RFP that we expect something between 500,000 to 1 million a year. So you can have it more than 1 million, as Tal was saying, if what you're proposing justifies that. But also, we will entertain proposals maybe for less than 500,000. Again, depending, some places where expenses may be lower, or something that adds to our diversity. So that's also a possibility.
People are asking about modifying proposals at a later time after a contract has been signed and so on. We're very, very flexible, okay? Our idea is that we want to have a great program that will work for you guys and will work for us. We're here. We're going to be here along the whole process. We're not confined by rules of governments and so on that have put the programs in place. Everything you come to us at a later point and ask, request, and so on, we will entertain. The idea, we will examine. We might say yes, we might say no. So it's not that things are very, very rigid here. We really want this to be something that will be wonderful for all of us, that will be something that will contribute to you as performers, to us as the foundation. That's why we're thinking also about activities that everybody will be involved in, so on. Really a very fertilizing program for all. So anything you come later, we might look at. A copyright and so on. Doro, please talk about those things, the open source and everything.
Yeah, so ideally, and we mentioned that in the request proposal too, we'd like to have everything be open sourced, so everyone can have access to it. If you have specific questions about specific output and how that is managed, we can discuss that, but ideally we will have everything to be open sourced. Should I just go through the questions now, Tal? Is there anything else you wanted to address? Yeah.
There's another question which I haven't responded to. There were just so many. Collaboration letters. If to add collaboration letters, I think that's an important question.
So we don't have a separate upload for that, but I think if you want to attach them as an appendix to your proposal, that's absolutely fine. But they're not required. So we don't need a required letter from your collaborating institution saying this is hereby we confirm that we collaborate. That is not a requirement.
And one thing I want to say, which has happened not here, but out of bound, about the budget template.
Yeah, we have
we have it up, and Doro, you're going to be doing the restrictions, connecting them.
Yeah, that's already been done. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
so if you've downloaded the budget template, let's say a week ago, please go and download it again, because now it's more formulated.
Yeah, and it carries it over from each year to the summary sheet at the front, so that should work for everybody. Let's see. Philip is asking, in case we need consultation about deeper technical question, is it possible that we can get connected with the Algorand team? Yes, I would recommend first to reach out to our developer community online. There's lots of really bright minds out there who will probably have some advice for you and who are very knowledgeable in PyTeal and so on. So if there are any deeper technical questions, try it there first. And then if you can't get any further, let me know and I'll try to get you some help. Obviously, we have limited capacity for these types of questions, but we're around and we're happy to support you.
And I do want to say that for performers, once you're going to be selected, then of course it's going to be a much smaller number and we would be able to help more. People are asking personal, not personal, but
personnel, yeah.
Specific questions to their proposal. Can I do this? Can I do that? Please send those in the QA to ace at Algorand.foundation, for example. If you can interchange PIs and things like that, please ask us not here on the channel. There were questions about PIs being from for-profit, Doro, or I don't know if you want to speak to that.
Yeah, we allow for-profit researchers to be on the team, but they can't be PIs. so they can be collaborators, they can work on the team for sure. Olivier asked about the optimal size for the team, or if we have a preference in terms of composition and profiles. So really, and I think that ties into what Tal said earlier, you should assemble your team, the size and the types of people, to make sure you'll be successful in your vision for the program. So if you think you need, 5 developers and 3 postdocs and 10 faculty to achieve your mission, if you can assemble the team and show us how this makes sense for your vision for the program, that's then the perfect team size. So we really don't have a preference for small versus big versus what the combination of people should look like. You should really look closely at what are you trying to achieve with your program, and then who are the people and what's the expertise that you need and the skills to get that accomplished. So the short answer is there is no optimal size. There's no one size fits all. And we don't have a preference in terms of composition.
A recurring question is about, sorry, Hugo.
On this subject, we are interested in collaboration between people. We are not interested on artificial elements in the program in any way, not adding just some university from some particular place just to look good, but never do anything with them. Same thing for subject-wise. There is no need to cover everything that we are, that we have as interesting elements in the program. We will not like to see proposals that are clearly putting stuff in some artificial way. So if you have a team of people, make it clear that how you're going to collaborate and what is the commonality among you that will actually help you carry the proposal the way that you defined.
And just to follow up on that point, the collaboration portion of the proposal is very important because it exactly addresses these issues that Hugo was saying. So work on that so that we really get a sense that you're doing it. A recurring question, Hugo, you're done with that? Yes. A recurring question is about the space and budgeting for the space.
Yeah, you can include budget for the space. That's no problem. I know, for example, at some universities in I think Singapore, the budget for the space is like per square meter. Like every university does it very differently. So please feel free to include it. And as I said, this could be a combination of things. It could be, rent for shared office space plus free access to a lecture hall in your department. So it could be a combination of these things, and you can include the cost in your budget.
And of course, budgets would later be discussed, so maybe it doesn't happen. People are asking if they can turn to us for help with ideas, to check their ideas. Hugo, do you want to take that one?
No.
Okay. I can take it.
I'll take the question, but the answer is no.
Yes.
And we don't have a prefix set of ideas that we want to see. Actually, we want to be surprised by the ideas. So anything that you think is relevant and useful and smart and original and all of that. No predefined set.
Yeah.
And in general, we also for fairness, even if we have some particular ideas in mind, we would not respond to a subset of people. Anything that we really want to communicate to everyone basically is in the RFP and the FAQs that expand on these and these webinars.
Another question, Doro, is people from the same institution participating in 2 different proposals?
Yeah, that's unfortunately not possible. So you can't, a single performer can't be on multiple proposals.
Two people from the same institution in different proposals.
Got it. Okay. That is possible. They can't be PI or they can't be both PIs or co-PIs, but let's say you have a professor who deals in law and technology and they are in a part of a proposal, and then you have a professor in the economics department, and this person is part of another proposal, that is fine. That's not a problem.
On the selection of the reviewers for the proposal, and will we be clustering and so on, we're going to make an effort, and we hope we will succeed, to make the evaluation as fair as possible, as equitable as possible, really comparing as much as we can, apples to apples. But at the end, we are going to need to compare apple to oranges, because the budget is it's a zero-sum game. So these things are going to, at some point, come into the end of the decision, but we are trying to make it as fair as possible.
Yep. Isaac is asking about collaborators, inviting collaborators from your own university, from different departments, or if it's preferred to include multiple organizations and multiple locations. Again, it plays into whatever you need to do to achieve your vision. However, we do think, including different perspectives, collaborating with institutions in different geographies or with different backgrounds is, in the idea of diversity and inclusion, is preferable. But it's really all about, what you need to do to accomplish your vision.
We are hoping for the program to start in unison for all performers. As I said again, nothing in this program is just strict. If there is a proposal that is amazing and for some reason it cannot start in April, we will discuss. We will see what the reasons, try to figure out. But the idea is that everybody starts together.
Hein asked a question about space cost. Hein just emailed me separately because I think that's very specific.
Did you end up speaking about the terms and condition, and that people would need to open source and so on?
Yeah, we did that.
Okay.
And so the terms and conditions, this is pretty much what's going to be part of your contract later. So if you want to have your legal team take a look at it now, or your grants office, please have them do it. The terms and conditions is going to be the main chunk of the agreement later. So some of you already reached out with some questions, and we were able to address them and solve them for them. So yeah, please take a look at them. I know terms and conditions aren't anybody's favorite read, but in this case, it may be worthwhile to take a look. Okay.
People are asking, is there room for taxes? I'm not even sure what that means. If you mean by taxes overhead, then there's answers in the FAQ about overhead. Some items cannot have overhead, and also on the general overhead, we're capping it at 20%.
Is that, yeah. Mm-hmm. Let me just see. Just scrolling down to the beginning. Somebody's asking about if it's possible to shift funds from one allocation to another. That's actually a question we got before as well. So yes, it is technically possible. However, we want you to, so what we don't want is budget shifted left to right and left to right all the time and letting us know. And then there's, just in the end, there's energy invested in that conversation now with the budget shifted, and that's not invested in the work. So yeah, it's technically possible, but ideally we wouldn't like to see any changes, from away from, salary for postdocs or students or academic roles towards hardware or things like that. So yes, budget changes are possible. Let us know ahead of time, but please keep them to a limit, and only change it really for good and valid reasons that make sense for your program.
So 2 important questions that were asked. Will we terminate performers? Yes. For not performing? Yes. If you do not meet your milestones or you're not making progress, but it will not be a cut. I mean, you're supposed to be providing things along the year. You will have a sense also of where you are. But yes, we will terminate non-performing performers. And can you later seek VC funding to scale up the project? Anything that you do later, you can continue and drive it whichever way you are. If something came out of this project which you think is worthy to get VC funding for later, more power to you. That's just great. So yes. Okay.
Philip asked about intellectual property, so that again ties into open source. Philip, take a look at terms of condition that's laid out there in detail. Asia asks about a specific focus, or rather a general vision for the center. That's really up to you. You can focus your center on one area. You can focus on general blockchain technology or education. It's really, really hard to say. It's about what you're trying to do and what your goal is, but we don't have a strong preference. Let's see. Quinn asks about the co-PI can be listed in 2 separate applications. So we, even at the letter of intent stage, we identified, sometimes there was a case where there were 2 letters of intent from one organization. So one performer cannot be on 2 proposals. That's the rule. So I guess, okay. So his question is if a person is on 2 applications and then both applications are successful, can they then participate on both ACEs? So the answer is no. One performer cannot be on more than 1 proposal.
So again, about the question of how we would be judging the proposals, we've put up a list of criteria on our website. The question is whether the research can be related to medicine. Is this connected to the blockchain in somehow? If it's not, then of course not. But if it is somehow connected, then definitely this is good. Dean, I do not understand the question of yeah. So if you want to elaborate and explain, that would be good. Whether we prefer a specific, focused, or general vision for the center. Hugo.
I think we already answered the question.
No. Your answer is no. You should propose what you have. I mean, come with something that's gonna excite the mind, our minds, that will want to fund it. If it's something that's more specific because this is what you're thinking of, do that. If it's something broad, we did say that we want it to be multidisciplinary and so on. But if something is fantastic and is more specific and not cross everything, we'll take it if it's wonderful.
And I think, Rachel, that ties into your question because you need to submit your budget soon. And if it's acceptable, if your proposal exceeds 5 million for 5 years, so over $1 million a year, and that's exactly what Tal is saying. So yeah, if you can show that you need these funds and you can make a good case for your idea, then yes, that's perfectly acceptable. Oh, Dean asked how we report the costs to you. So we have the annual report where we require also a financial report, so your budget and how the budget was spent. And then the milestone update at 6 months doesn't require a full financial report. So it's really just an update on how you're doing, what's been happening at the ACE, what the latest publications are, and so on. And we'll probably have, for the annual report, we'll probably have an upload form again where you can just upload your spreadsheet and a PDF, and it'll be very simple. And we'll, make sure everyone gets information in time.
Only half of you have filled out the poll. If you can please, the rest of you do. It takes a second to click. That would be really helpful for us.
Tal, sorry, the poll's finished. Sorry, I should have said that. My bad.
Okay. Can we have an example of reporting for the budget?
We don't have the form yet, so no, I can't show you an example right now, but we'll make sure to give it to you ahead of time. We all know you will need some time to prepare everything, and we'll need the report 30 days prior to the end of the year. So we'll make extra sure, especially in this first year where everybody's getting the hang of it, to make sure you get the information. Maybe we'll even do like another workshop where we'll just go through the process with you and answer your questions. I think that'd be probably best.
Also, I'm sure that you're reporting, I mean, the universities, you have organizations that submit their budgets. I'm sure they're a little bit more familiar of what needs to be done than maybe the PI themselves. I keep answering about the medical, but somehow this question's coming up again. As I said, if the medical research is somehow being connected to the blockchain in some way, then submit. But if it's not, then don't.
Okay, I'm just going through the questions one more time.
Sorry, Dora, there's one from Owen. I'm not sure if we covered it, so apologies if we did. Can the first collaboration be between a private company as the practitioner and institutes, or does it need to be between two institutes or the application?
It can be either way. There's no restriction. Claudia asks about the payment. Will it be transferred over time, yearly and a bi-yearly basis? So we'll have the milestone summary after 6 months, and then the annual report. And the payment is tied to the submission of these reports. So you should get funds every 6 months. That's why we ask for the reports 30 days prior, so we have sufficient time to review it, reach out to you if you have questions, and then the payment will be issued. Are there any other questions? Oh, one new question. Will the ACE program be offered again in the future? So if a proposal is not selected, it can be resubmitted. Hugo, do you want to take that one?
I can't. I was not paying attention.
The plan is currently we are allocating a portion of the amount of money that has been given to this project. We still have not determined how additional amounts will be distributed out in the future, whether it would be another call timed like this, or maybe we'll open, we don't know. So we will not be exhausting all the funds in this first round.
So someone asked about if one can submit above the $1 million a year, and we say that it's a zero-sum game. So how does that work? So if we will award someone with more than $5 million a year, it means that there is less money for other projects. The total amount of money will be fixed, and then we will allocate it depending on what proposals we get.
Dean wants to clarify his cost question. Because I'm going to have to report the proposed costs in front of my management. That is reasonably the same form. Oh, got it. Okay. Yeah, Dean, again, we don't have that form ready yet, but we'll make sure to share it with everyone in due course and make sure everybody has sufficient time to share it internally and make sure you can use the correct format. Robert's asking, may a regular Algorand Foundation grant be combined with an ACE grant? So in the scenario that you're already a grant recipient, but you're also receiving an ACE grant, we would have a discussion with you about that and see if anything needs to be adjusted. But it's not an exclusion criteria, as if you mean that. Okay, the last call for questions or anything.
Doro, there's a comment. I'll make it more a general comment in the chat. Or sorry, excuse me. Just related to reference and ACE if they're successful on their websites, etc. So, if you're successful, we in the marketing team will work with you to, share any promotions around who's been selected, what your project's about, etc. So there will be opportunities to do that.
And we do require each ACE also to have their own dedicated URL and website where they're posting about, the activities, who's on the team. So that's also in the request for proposals. And then we have a question about if you're not chosen, if you get feedback for a regular future grant. So we're expecting so many proposals, we probably don't have the capacity to give individual feedback for each application. But if, let's say, we don't think your proposal is sufficient or quite the right fit for the ACE program, but we still find it interesting for our general grants program, we'll definitely let you know.
Payments can't be made into the university's account in fiat. Yes.
And fiat can be any local denomination, right?
Yes. Yeah. Is there an ethics approval submission? We do not have an ethics approval submission.
Yeah. No.
But you should be ethical.
Yeah.
Just to make clear.
Yeah, I think that question was answered. We can pay in fiat.
In any denomination.
Oh, yeah, Claudia asked a good question. We've been asked this before. Can we put specific items in Algo and, oops, sorry, the question's popping out, and other parts in fiat? So yeah, that is a possibility, but we would need to know that ahead of time. So if you want, for example, you're planning to pay the salaries for your team in fiat, but you want other funds in Algo token, that is possible.
But the budget is all in fiat, right?
Correct.
So this the possibility of Algos is only for the payment. The budget itself needs to be defined in fiat.
Samson, it's not clear to me exactly what you mean that you want the project to generate revenue. If you can explain maybe offline in an ACE question to the ACE Foundation, that would be good.
Yeah. Rachel's asking about fees to test on Algorand's platform. Yeah, reach out to me separately about that. But you mean like transaction fees?
Yeah, this is.
You can decide if you want to include that in the proposal. Transaction fees are in Algorand are very minimal.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but if you feel that you want a budget in algos in order, I mean, even a few algos can do transaction fees for a lot of transactions. So
yeah,
you can include that.
Yeah. Okay.
In testnet, no. Testnet you can do. Testnet is free.
Okay.
Definitely, you should run it on testnet, of course. But if you do feel you want to go live at some point, we can definitely discuss providing algos.
Yeah. And there's a question from Natasha. If we encourage proposals that span multiple countries, yes, I mean, we do encourage proposals that span across geography, socioeconomic backgrounds, but it has to make sense for what you're trying to do. So simply partnering with a university in South Africa, for example, just for the sake of partnering and that you have another institution from a different continent on your application, that is not useful. But if you have a collaboration partner in a different country where it makes perfect sense and you align in your vision, then yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
I want to make a general suggestion as people are talking about the grant program and so on. You can go and examine the grant program. The grant program is really a fantastic program and it gives wonderful funding and so on. Maybe that program is more suitable to you. I'm not saying to all of you, but maybe there are a few proposals here that really that would be the better venue for them. This submission proposal is much more complex and cumbersome. If you feel that it is appropriate, do submit here. Please submit here. But if you go and look at the grant program, maybe you should consider that this is somewhat, could be the more appropriate venue for you, for whatever you have in mind, and submit there.
And also, Natal, if they check just our news section on our website, we've announced grants for the University of Melbourne and Copenhagen for winter school as well. So there's information on any of the grant awards around universities as well in education on the news section of our website.
Okay, good. then I don't see any other questions. Oh, there's one more from Holger. Okay. Oh, grants paid before or after a 6-month interval. So the first payment will go out at the sign of agreement signing, and then every 6 months. And in the scenario that you have to, for example, I know in some countries there's strict rules about postdoc salaries. So in case you need to provide proof of funding for a whole year for postdocs or graduate students, that's a requirement from your institution. Do let us know, and we can make an exception on a case-by-case basis for this. But normally payment is every 6 months. Okay. If there are any more questions, please send us an email. Again, a reminder, connect with our community online if you have any questions about the ecosystem. But we're always around. There's another session later on at 9 p.m. EST. If you want to join again, go for it. But you'll get a recording and the deck from this. And we'll also link the deck on our resources section. So if you lose the email, don't worry, we'll have it all together. And yeah, feel free to drop me a line. I'm always here for any questions or concerns that you have, and we can help you with them. Good.
Thank you.
We are looking for your amazing, amazing proposals. Knock us off our feet.
Thank you.
Final words?
Yes.
Thank you, everyone, for giving us a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for coming.
Bye.